My foundation is trust, respect, values. And then Anita has emphasised she doesn't have that time. I feel like I've made an effort, but when it got to affairs of the heart, there's not been a lot of depth.
I'm so conflicted with the couples on Married at First Sight. Part of me wants all of them to go home and let's recast and let's have new weddings, because they really, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. The audacity for Grace to continue to enjoy the perks of what Ashley provides for her and then find fault in that, it doesn't make sense. If she doesn't want to feel like a kept woman, then she shouldn't be allowing him to pay for her bills. She should be going 50-50 and paying her share to show that she is an independent woman. She can't be an independent woman when it suits her. And I'm still going to stand 10 toes. I'm sorry, but Devon is not the villain in Julia Rose's fight with Stephen. He's not. He's not the villain for supporting her for something that she started without telling him she was going to start it. If she had the audacity to let Leah know that this is what she's going to do, then she should have done the same for her husband. I don't understand why the experts didn't call her out on that and actually allowed her to continue to sing, to play her trumpet on, I'm the villain, I'm the victim, he didn't support me, I can't stand up for myself, but he needed to support me, please take several seats. And thank God Paul is finally given in to this woman and decided to leave, because she was never going to give him the time of day. And instead of continuing to put up with the misery, it's time for him to go. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 10, Episode 11. So we start off with the couples in their apartments. They're getting ready for the night. They're getting ready for the commitment ceremony. You have Merv and Joe having a conversation about Stephen and saying they don't understand why he went off the way he did, or why he sort of behaved the way he did. I think he kicked off because he didn't expect people to corner him, and he felt cornered and he decided to find his way out, and this is why he sort of had the reaction he did. You had Rebecca and Bailey talking about the same thing, and it's like, it's okay for people to have opinions, but how would you feel if you were in that position? Yes, he's wrong for what he did. Leah was handling it. They should have allowed Leah to handle it the way she did. Julia Ruth should not have involved herself. The moment she told Leah, she should have taken a step back and kept quiet. She shouldn't have had a back and forth with him. This is why things eventually got out of hand, because had he spoken to Leah, had Leah told him where he went wrong, he might have responded differently. So this is why I have a different feeling to that. You have Julia Ruth having a conversation with Devon, and she's saying, I am always going to stand up for myself, but I feel like, Devon didn't support me. He should have had my back. He says he should have had her back as his wife, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I get it. Had she given, I'm going to still stand, had she given him a heads up to say, when we get to the commitment ceremony, I'm going to bring up what Stephen did. If I need you, can you tag in? Then I would say he's wrong, because he made her a promise. They didn't have a conversation. He wasn't aware of what was happening. So the idea that she goes to start a fight, and when things backfire, she starts calling out everybody else. Oh, Merv. Oh, Stephen. Why didn't we say anything about Merv? Merv was told to keep quiet by Joe, and she kept quiet. Why didn't we say this? Ask her, where was she? Why didn't she support her friend? Because when Julia Ruth was having a conversation with Leah, Merv came and seconded that. But when it became Stephen, she was nowhere to be found because her husband told her to keep quiet. So why is Devon the only villain in this story? I'm not buying it. I think she's just looking for a fault with him. And then Sarah is really trying to sort of get a positive edit, because she's saying, oh, I've been very good. We've been holding hands. We've been, trying to cuddle. I actually feel like I feel bad because, or I'm afraid of the experts because I'm worried about what they're going to say. And it's like, well, if you weren't behaving like a genius, then you wouldn't be worried. But because of what you've done and what you've said, this is why you feel you should be afraid. You should be afraid, because how dare you tell a producer that if you weren't gay, I would be all over you. Make that make sense? Paul and Anita. Paul says, he and Anita share the same values. She agrees they share the same values. She admires him, but she doesn't know where she stands in regards, is it a friendship or is it a romantic connection on his part? She is looking for love. And it's like, this woman came with a time clock. She should have told the experts that I want to have fallen in love with someone in 8 weeks. If that person cannot fall in love with me within 8 weeks, then we're over. Then the experts would have found someone who's ideal for her, or they could have not matched her at all and found Paul someone better, as far as I'm concerned. Leah and Leah are having a conversation about the massage. I knew it. If I were to bet, I should have bet some money on it. There was never going to be a massage. I don't know whether Lee actually likes Leah romantically. She says she's jealous and she's got these feelings that she can't understand. But still, I don't know whether they're romantic feelings or it's just a jealousy that, oh, my place might be taken by somebody else. Ashley and Grace. Ashley and Grace are a bit of a conundrum for me. It seems everything Ashley says, it doesn't agree with Grace. So she wants things said a certain way, and if Ashley doesn't say it that way, then it's a problem. So they say there's a lot of miscommunication, and they say they want to discuss intimacy with the experts, and I wish we had dug deeper in regards to the intimacy when they had the conversation with the experts. But I feel like everything was very superficial, so I don't understand why the experts didn't dig deeper, and we'll go further into that. Nellie and Stephen, Stephen is saying he doesn't want others involved in their marriage. And it's like, well, buddy, if you don't want people involved in your marriage, then don't tell people about yourself or about your marriage. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to you and your wife and the experts. And don't involve other people. The moment you involve other people, yes, there are going to be different opinions that are going to cause more conflict. But still, at the same time, be mindful of what you say and what you do when you're out in public. He then had a fallout with his wife. They clashed because, she's saying that there really is poor communication on his part, in the sense that he wants to use his stepdad's situation as an excuse for his behavior. But I think he was just embarrassed that he was caught out. This is why he kicked off. And for him to swear at her, that wasn't necessary. And I'm happy she told him, you will not talk to me like that. She needs to set boundaries with him and let him know that it's unacceptable for you to disrespect me and for you to talk to me like I'm nothing. I'm your wife, treat me with respect. Anyway, you have Merv and Joe. They spoke about the fact that they're a team and they feel like they're functioning very well. They're very supportive of one another. They bring out the best in each other. You had, them discuss their activity for the Experts Week, whereby they had Paul come round and they sort of carried out the activities to try and build, Merv's self-esteem or self-worth. And she said she's doing much better. She is still working on it, but she is much better. They were asked for some of the activities that they did, and you had Joe sort of speak up. And then there came the part where Merv said, she's very proud of Joe and the fact that he is very emotionally expressive or emotionally intelligent, the fact that he brought up his struggles from the past. And, he said he felt that she was his partner. She's very supportive. She wasn't judging him. This is why he felt comfortable to do that. She says she appreciates that he did that and that the rest of the team is proud of him. And I think they're working very well. I think they complement each other very well. I think the only problem is the drinking. And if the wife, Merv, can get that under control, the drinking and the partying, then they'll be cooking with gas, because it seems he had a troubled sort of adulthood, young adulthood, where he struggled with alcohol and drugs and stuff. And so he's trying to keep away from that. And his wife, when he got married to her, seemed to be into all that. But it seems she's curbing part of it and she's doing way better. So I love this for her. Julia, Ruth, and Devon were next on the couch. They spoke about the fact that they ranked their priorities differently. Devon has got a child, so a child was always going to be priority. And for me, it makes sense. If he's got a child, he's going to worry about your job, about the finances, because that child needs to be looked after. They need, they need finances to buy food, to buy clothes, to go to school and stuff. So it makes sense that would be his priority. For, Julia Ruth to say, oh, I still feel like he lied about sex and looks, and it's like, oh God almighty. He wasn't saying you in particular are not sexy. He wasn't saying he doesn't like how you look. He was saying for him, As someone who is a parent, that is not priority for him when he looks for a partner. He needs to be compatible with in other main things outside of sex and looks. And so I don't get why she made such a big deal about it. They spoke about the fact that, Devon didn't support his wife in the argument, and he was asked, how would you behave differently? He said, next time I will get involved. And it's like, I get it. She needs his support, but where is anyone holding her accountable? She didn't give him a heads up that she was ready to go to war. She went in, she started something and then expected him to finish it. For what reason? For what reason? He can't be responsible for her actions. If we're telling Stephen, you are an adult who's responsible for the words that come out of your mouth, so should the same be told to Julia. She's an adult. She spoke up. She said what she said. She needs to back it up. If she's saying I'm woman enough to stand on my 2 feet, then why are you calling him? Leave him alone. Leave him alone. I don't get it, and I don't get why we're still calling him a villain. It's infuriating for me. Anyway, they both chose to stay. Surprise, no. Merv and Joe also chose to stay. Surprise, no. Then we had Sarah and Dean. Sarah was trying to whitewash everything. She said, we're working on intimacy, we're holding hands, we're cuddling, but we argued about a small little comment that I made. And she was asked, what was the comment? She said, I made a comment about a producer who is not even into women. I just said, I'm attracted to him. I like his look. And it's like, why are we allowing this woman to continue to write stay every week? She just wants to be on the show. Why are we allowing her to do this? The expert said to her, you need to stop making negative comments. No, she needs to pack her bags and go home. She needs to pack her bags and go home, because for her to continue to say, I need to stop, I need to, I apologize. No, she shouldn't be saying it. That way she needs to apologize for it. For her to try and hold Dean at ransom to sort of say, but I've been better, No, you haven't been better. You're only holding his hands because the cameras are here. You're only smiley because the cameras are here. When you're being recorded by the producers and they're asking you questions, that's when the mask falls off, and we all see that you're just there to be on TV. And sadly for her, I think she thought if she bides her time, Joe might end up looking at her. And sadly, Joe is saying he's in love with his wife, so that's gone. Now she has to wait for the new crop of husbands that come in. I don't know. I really am surprised they both chose to stay. I think they should have gone home. Kia and Davide seem to be doing very well. They seem aligned on a lot of things. You had them saying sort of we ground each other. We are each other's safe spaces. They've never been in any more relationships that have been this safe. They spoke about intimacy. They said they're doing very well on that. They were very vague. And I think they complement one another. I think they're people that came from trauma and have found someone who's been traumatized the same. And so they're trying to heal one another. That's the impression that I get. Surprised they chose to stay? No, they were always going to stay. Ashley and Grace, oh my God. Ashley and Grace, for me, are a bit of a conundrum in the sense that Ashley wants to champion that she's an independent woman, she's empowered, she's this, that, and the other. But then at the same time, she's not behaving in that way. I said it before and I'll say it again. I have a feeling that she's one of those people who is friends with someone who champions a cause. And because her friends champion that cause and she wants to be aligned with those friends, this is why she's championing that, because it doesn't make sense. They said you had Ashley say he's worried about boundaries with Grace when it comes to physical intimacy. There was a conversation about, they went out for a meal. Ashley paid for the meal and Grace felt guilty because she felt like she had to give him something as a reward for paying for the meal. And it's like, you say you're an empowered woman, you're an independent woman. Why didn't you pay 50% for the meal? Why? You could have done 2-3 shifts and paid for that meal. Why not pay your share? They went for a second meal and the show, and she still felt the same way. And she told him, let's buy some contraceptive, because they discussed contraceptives that they would use later on down the line. They got home, and then suddenly she decided she didn't want to do anything. And he was like, but you gave me false hope. And then it seems they were making a pizza. He was trying to be physically intimate with her. Suddenly she turned around and said, no, I don't want it. And it's like, I didn't get the answer that I was expecting, because the experts asked her that, Grace, where does this feeling of you owe him come from? They should have asked her, have you had a boyfriend that has made you feel like every time he does something for you, you have to pay him with your body? Is that it? What is it in particular that is making you feel like, you have to reward this man for something that is done? I didn't know. I don't know. And it seems like when he says something, she hears something totally different. When she says something, he hears something totally different. And so him asking her to put on a dress when they're going to a meal. She should have asked, why are you insisting that I wear a dress? You say my outfit is cute. Why are you asking me to wear a dress? And then he would have explained himself. Just the same way as he should have told her, I want you to wear a dress because we're going to a fancy place and it's more, dresses are more in line with the appearance of where we're going. That would make sense. So I don't get why the experts are only telling him how he needs to sort of make sure that his intention is understood, but they're not telling her to let him know that his intention, is her intention is understood as well. It can't be a one-way street. And for her, when she says physical intimacy, I don't get it. She doesn't want skin to skin, but she's leaning into him. Which is it? Do you like him or you just don't like him touching you? Which is it? I don't get it. And so I am very confused when it comes to Grace and Ashley, because I wonder, does she really like this man? Does she have feelings for this man, or does she like his pocket and the things that he's doing for her? Which is it? They both chose to stay. Am I surprised? No. Rebecca and Bailey, they are another couple that says, they're doing very well. They say their challenge this week was to learn about X-Files. They spoke about if they had hurt anyone and what they could have done better. They say they haven't had conflict, and the scaling thing was asked, and Bailey said he's at a 10. He's falling in love with his wife, but his wife said she's not falling in love with him as yet, but she's got strong feelings. And I have a feeling this is all because of the fact that you had Merv and Joe say they're in love. So you had Bailey also want to say we're in love because they want to be at the top. I don't get the competitive aspect of all the couples, but anyway. So they both chose to stay. Anyone surprised? No. And then came Paul and Anita. They spoke about the challenge that they had, and Anita said she felt like although Paul asked questions, they were not deep enough for her. They were very superficial. This man has asked you a question. If you want to tell him more, tell him more. If you don't. He's already told you that he doesn't like feeling like he's being nosy by constantly probing people and asking them questions. So why not tell him what you want him to know? She said he's a very good friend, but there's no romantic side to their connection. He said he came there for a relationship and really wanted a relationship, but his wife feels like he came to discover himself and he wasn't ready for a relationship. He felt that they were on different time frames. Yes, I do. She had 17 years wasted by somebody, but she wants someone else to commit to her within 2 weeks and tell her that they are hopelessly and falling in love with her. I don't know who she's going to meet in the real world who's going to give her that, and I wish her the best, and I hope she finds that. They were the first couple that wrote leave. A surprise, no. I think Paul eventually just gave up and he said, I can't continue to do this. So he gave her what she wanted and they've both left. Hopefully he finds someone, because with his haircut and his whatever, he looked a lot better than he did on his wedding day. So I love that for him. Lee and Leah, there was this conversation about during the sex workshop, they took toys home with them, and there was a promise that Lee would get a massage from Leah. There was a promise that Lee would give Leah a massage, but that didn't come through. You had Lee say, we were very exhausted after the dinner party, so I couldn't do that. There's also conversations about flirting and the fact that nothing is actually taking place. And for me, I don't know whether Lee is giving just Leah the bare minimum so that they can stay in the experiment, or whether she actually has feelings. She did say she has feelings for her partner because she was upset about the Rebecca situation. And so she was told that you need to sort of affirm your partner. They both chose to stay. Am I surprised? No. I think the younger couples are more prepared to stay because they still want to be on TV and they are willing to take whatever crumbs of the edits that they get so that they can stay on the show. Lastly, we had Nelly and Stephen. He said he swore. Well, it came out that he swore at her. He said he wasn't swearing at her per se. He was swearing about the whole situation because he felt there was no need for the situation to get out of hand. He tried to bring up, his trauma from when he was a child, when he was attacked, and how that has sort of made him sort of not be able to lash out or feel anything. And so his stepdad being sick and all the stress that has come with that is why he was very emotional and he behaved in a way that he didn't intend to. He said he never meant to disrespect his wife. And what do I think? I don't know. I don't know whether this man really likes her. I felt during the honeymoon I was questioning whether he was putting on a persona, and this week has sort of made me question which is it. Is Nelly is right to say, is he the guy she was on the honeymoon with, or is he the guy that she's seen during the experiment? I don't know who he is. Do I see them working? I don't think so. I think Nelly needs to leave. I don't think this man is her guy, but I think her guy has seen her on TV and will sort of reach out to her once she leaves the show, but she needs to leave the show in order for that person to reach out to her. I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link to watch my video from episode 10. Bye guys.